So 20 years ago, I started playing guitar when I was 13. And for the last 12 years, I've been playing guitar professionally, doing everything from touring to some session work and teaching to starting a YouTube channel. When I think back to those early days of playing guitar, there are some things that I wish I could have done differently. Hindsight tends to have that effect on someone. Having 20 years of experience under my belt, this is what I wish I could have gone back and changed about my first few years as a guitar player. When I was first starting out with guitar, I was completely self-taught, and there was no reason for it other than we just thought that that was how you learned guitar. Now keep in mind, this is before YouTube. This was like 2003, 2004. So that left me to basically just learning songs, which was a great way to learn guitar, but aside from just knowing where to put my fingers and what the chords were called, I didn't actually learn much about what I was doing. And that's where a great teacher could have really helped me out. Taking the songs and solos that I was learning and having a teacher to help me understand what was actually happening in those songs and why they worked would have really helped elevate my playing, and I think would have made me a much better guitar player today. Now there's a few quick mechanical things, theory things that had I learned early on, I think would have helped take me further. Primarily my triads and my major and minor pentatonics all the way up the neck. Being able to play chords like E major in all the different positions around the neck. Knowing that you could move any of these chords around and play any chord progression or any song in different positions on the neck would have been huge for me. When I was a beginner, or really for the first 5 or 6 years of playing, I thought that that's how you played E on guitar. There was no other way to play it. I didn't know that that was another way to play it, or that was another way to play it. I think having a teacher or someone who could have shown me these things would have really helped me learn a lot more, a lot quicker. Same thing with my major and minor pentatonics. Being able to play not just the standard minor pentatonic box shape, but being able to move that to different positions on the neck would have really helped me out. Now, I should point out a quick shameless plug. I have a video course called the Caged course, which is available for a discount down below, which will kind of take you into these topics much deeper if you're interested in learning about them. There's a special discount in the description box via the link, and there's links to all my other courses down there as well. Plug over. When you combine that with the fact that a great teacher or a great mentor on your instrument is someone who's not just teaching you the mechanics and the theory and the technique, but someone who's also showing you great music and turning you on to new artists and bands and genres, that I think is just as important as time spent practicing on your instrument. Time spent listening to new styles and new ideas is huge, because it's how you apply all of these different techniques and ideas. You can learn all of your different chords in the different positions on the neck, but if you don't know how to apply them in a musical way, it's kind of pointless. Now, when I was a kid learning guitar, for the first really 5 or 6 years, it was just me sitting alone in my bedroom playing guitar for the most part. I mean, I did play in my church youth worship band for a while, but that was just kind of strumming acoustic guitar chords on really simple songs. It wasn't really like playing in a band. And that's one thing that I would absolutely go back and do differently. When I was in high school, from 2004 to 2008, there were actually quite a few kids in my class that had bands. There was a lot of musicians where I went to school, but I never reached out. I never got involved and actually started playing with my friends because, well, I was a little scared, but also I didn't realize how beneficial it would have been to play with other people. I know that now. The last 13 or 14 years I've been playing with people a lot, and because of that, the biggest sort of step forwards I've had as a guitar player and a musician have always come from playing with other people, especially when you're playing with other people that are better than you. If you can be the worst player in the room, that's generally a good thing, as long as you're able to keep up and get the job done. Playing with people that are more experienced than you, more talented than you, more skilled than you is always where you want to be. And after especially doing things like touring, with bands that are really, really great and musicians that are really great for the last 10 years or so, I can honestly say that playing with other people is probably the best thing you can do as a musician who's trying to get better, especially if your goal is to try and gig, to try and play with other people. The best way to learn how to do that is to actually do that. And had I been able to do that in high school when I was learning, I think I'd be a much better player today. Learning a second instrument is something that I think all of us should do. For me, it was bass. I got this bass for my birthday in 2015, and almost overnight, as soon as I started practicing and playing bass, it made me a better guitar player because it taught me how to listen. I didn't realize how little I was listening and paying attention to the rhythm section of the bands I was playing in until I picked up a bass. And it literally was like a light bulb moment for me. I started paying attention to the kick pattern, to the snare drum, to the hi-hat and how that interplayed, and it immediately affected my guitar playing in a better way because it taught me to listen differently than I had before. Now, if I could go back to a younger self, I would have done two things: drums and keys. I was focusing on guitar that early on, but had I also been working on things like drums and playing keys, especially with a teacher in both of those instruments, I'd be a much more well-rounded musician today. I'd be a better producer because I could play all these instruments myself. I would be better at getting ideas out. And as a professional working musician, I would have been more marketable. If I was good at guitar, drums, keys, and bass, there's just more opportunities for work out there for people like that. There's more gigs available. And especially if you can sing on top of that, even just singing background vocals, if you want to work professionally and have lots of opportunities for big gigs, and you can play multiple instruments proficiently, it's just a lot easier to make a living. So for you guitar players out there who are looking to start on a second instrument, I would recommend bass because it's going to be the easiest and lowest barrier to entry coming from guitar. And like what happened with me, you will instantly become a better guitar player. And if you're just starting out on bass, it's important to focus on a few things. First of all, trying to not sound like a guitar player attempting to play bass. That means sticking to the fundamentals. Things like roots, fifths, roots. That's going to get you 80% of the way towards playing most simple bass lines. And then once you take this simple root, fifth, root pattern, using that and focusing on the kick drum. If you don't know where to start, listen to the kick pattern and do whatever the kick is doing. You can't go wrong there. Once you get comfortable with that, you start to hone into what the kick is doing, then start to clue into things like the hi-hat pattern or the snare pattern and use that as a jumping off point for embellishments like lines and fills. Listening to things like the hi-hat or the snare drum can help inform you on how long your notes should be. Not every bass note or bass line needs to fill up the entire bar. In fact, you should actually leave some space. So instead of going like, it might be better, depending on the drum pattern, to do something like, so that's what I would do differently if I was learning guitar again. Hopefully you found this video helpful, and I should point out that, I don't regret anything about how I learned or my journey, and everybody's journey through guitar and learning an instrument and getting into music is completely different. So just take this advice and use it where you can. Don't forget, you can get a special discount on the Caged course. If you're curious about some of the concepts that we talked about and touched on in this video, this course takes you deeper into each one of those ideas. You can get a special discount on that course via the link in the description box down below. It's a great way to support this channel if you like what I do here. You can also check out some of my other video courses down there as well. Also, don't forget to subscribe, leave a like and a comment if you enjoyed the video today. My name is Rhett Shull. Appreciate you watching, and I'll catch you on the next one.